Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
And we are back from Georgia State University's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. We're broadcasting live today right here on the on-premise here at Georgia State University. Stone Peyton Lee Cantor here with you, and of course, producer Blake. This is going to be a fantastic segment. Lee, please join me in welcoming to the broadcast Entrepreneur in Residence with ENI Main Street Entrepreneurship Seed Fund, MK. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Well, MK, before we get too far into things, how'd you kind of wrangle this Entrepreneur in Residence opportunity here at GSU?
Just through network. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. I started a number of businesses here in Atlanta, and went to Georgia State alumni at the Robinson College of Business. Just through my circle of people, meeting Jackie and Jennifer, and they were talking about this fund they were about to start under the Georgia State, ENI organization. And they were like, we need somebody somebody with experience in entrepreneurship who's done it, understands the mindset, what it takes to start a business, to sort of help us run this fund and get entrepreneurs involved. And I jumped at that, and here I am.
So now your background is as an entrepreneur. So you were involved in startups, but your path to what was your path to entrepreneurship? Yeah,
so I moved to Atlanta in 1997, transferred to Georgia State University from University of South Alabama in Mobile. My major was engineering at the time, and coming from a South Asian background, your parents tell you if you're not an engineer or a doctor, then you're nobody. It turned out that engineering was not my thing. I was not going to be doing circuits and electrons. So,
what was your thing?
I didn't know. I loved businesses. I've been involved in I've never really did your garden variety part-time cashier jobs at places. I used to take go and jump into things like I sold vacuum cleaners door to door.
Selling
Kirby vacuum cleaner. I love doing that. I just love talking to people, just talking to customers, understanding their problems, trying to help them solve them. So yes, I know I've always been out there doing crazy things like selling Kirby vacuum cleaners. Do you know how much a Kirby vacuum cleaner is? It's
$400.
About $2,600.
$2,600.
Yeah. So
we had one when I was a kid growing up. By the way, I'm a University of South Alabama alumni.
Awesome.
I majored in table tennis.
Go Jags. Yeah. I majored in frat parties. Anyway, so did that, and then sold meat out of a meat truck in rural Alabama for Y&B Meat. Did that one summer. And we did a lot of little things, and finally decided that I really wanted to do something other than engineering. So moved to Atlanta, found Georgia State, came to Georgia State, and wanted to enroll here. And the registrar here told me that with your grades, there's no way. So I had to.
They were too high.
They were at one extreme. One of the extremities.
And is it true? The myth says you did sell that person a Kirby vacuum cleaner.
I tried. That was not going to work. He said the only way is you go back and find some school who is going to let you, attend that school, and you make a straight 4.0 GPA for a year. So that's what I did. I went and found a school that would let me in, and for a whole year, just hustled and made my grades. Came back to Georgia State because this is where I wanted to be, and I said, "This is where I want to go." And found at the same time, I really enjoyed technology, really enjoyed business. So found sort of the right major, which was a CIS major under the Robinson College of Business. And basically, finished, enrolled here. In the final year of my final class, I took a business class with Dr. Brett Mathern. and he was, he kind of really got me interested into, how to build a business, running businesses. And so from very early on, I really took interest into starting something on my own. I worked at a startup in my early career. That startup shut down 9 months later, and then went and joined another bigger company and decided that was not going to be what I was going to be doing. And then started my first business, basically building software, collection software for collection agencies, and specifically focusing them on healthcare collections.
So then you were the one who built the technology, or were you the one that sold it to the collection agencies?
Partly. So, when you're starting a company, you're either a builder or a seller. And so, and you're either building something or you're selling something. And so I was a little bit of both. I started my career writing code, but eventually, what I enjoyed was the business side of things. Mm-hmm. Ran that company for a few years, sold it, and then did some contract work around different things, especially around technology and product. And then in 2008, started another company, which was basically at the time they were implementing these smart meters. And so, basically they're going to take these dumb electric meters in your house and they're going to convert it into these smart meters that would be able to send data over the air to the utilities. It was a lot of data. There was a big data boom. All that stuff was going on. And I started a company that would take all that data and analyze it and process it and give utilities back information around how they were performing in terms of their grid, transformer, things like that. So if you live in Atlanta, if you go outside your house and you look at your electric meter, it's a meter that's manufactured by a company, U.S.-based company called Census. And so Census is the company that acquired my company.
And then, so at that point, you were the builder or the seller? I
was a seller. I was a business guy. I was the guy building the company, raising capital, selling to customers. Of course, I had partners. I had co-founders with me who helped me do it too. But yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm sort of at the business end of things.
So you like the kind of figuring out the process and the sales portion of it. And
it's all
delegate out the.
Yeah, it's all about discovering the customer problem. Most entrepreneurs, they fall in love with a solution and they don't iterate on the problem. Yeah. And so, they build a solution. They love it so much they try to go and find a problem on the solution and they try to sell customers that solution versus really understanding what the customer's problem really is and iterating on the problem.
So so that's a kind of a mental shift that a lot of entrepreneurs have to kind of make in order to survive, right?
Right. It's very hard. And even if it's also hard with, repeat entrepreneurs, right? Because again, we love the solutions we build. We love the babies we create. We don't want anybody to tell them that baby's ugly, right? It's not going to work, right? And then when we hear people tell us that is not what they're looking for, we shift away and try to find people who sort of tell us that is what they're looking for. So we try to sort of convince ourselves that is the right solution versus, really doing the hard thing of saying, forget the solution, let's understand the problem, and let's build a solution to fit that problem.
Now, do you think that investors care more about the jockey or the horse then?
It's always the jockey. The jockey is much more important than the horse because at the end of the day, what I've learned many, many times over from my own ventures is if the team is good, they'll make it work. A team can make a B idea work. A B team or a C team can't make a idea work. They might actually ruin it, right? And we've seen that recently with the Kentucky Derby, right? It's the jockey that makes But jockeys can make mistakes. So if you have the right jockey and if you have the right team around the right idea, that's the best combination you can ever have.
So then, so you leave Georgia State, you have your own venture, it's extremely successful, you exit, and then this opportunity pops up, this Main Street Entrepreneurship Seed Fund, and they need a jockey, right?
Yeah, the original title of the role was Startup Shepherd. And
you didn't like that?
I didn't want a shepherd title anywhere in my resume. I didn't know how. I wouldn't know how to explain that. And I'm glad they changed it. To their credit. But yes, so my job is really to be a shepherd, right? Instead, I don't think I can. It's more like sort of mentoring and coaching. The best part about this is that all of this is already, that I do anyway. I mentor startups and entrepreneurs. I love talking to them. I love, understanding their problem. I love guiding them. I do it with, places like the Atlanta Tech Village, Founder Institute. I even on my own, I look up entrepreneurs and, from different places, just go out there and talk to them and help them figure out, because entrepreneurship is really hard. Our startups are very hard, and the old cliche, like 9 out of 10 never make it out. We only hear about the ones that made it out, but 99% of them didn't. And so, it's a very lonely place to be. You don't have an answer to a question like, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, oh, so you're unemployed.
Unemployed, right?
That's right. My wife thought that for a long time too. She still thinks that, by the way. I think she said, what is an entrepreneur? She still doesn't understand, sometimes struggle with it. But here I am, and this is something that I love doing. I've been fortunate and honored that I have been given this role, especially with my background at Georgia State, being an alumni. It's emotional, I'm emotionally sort of attached to it. I want Georgia State to be successful. I want the entrepreneurs here to be successful. So what's
your vision? So like you said, 9 out of 10 aren't going to make it. So now all these entrepreneurs that are going to become part of this fund, that'll be the startups that you're kind of grooming.
Yeah. So
how do you want it to?
Just to tell you a little bit about the process and the fund. So the Main Street Fund, was created for the Main Street entrepreneurs. And what does that mean? Is that if you look around the ecosystem in Atlanta, you look at Tech and Emory and UGA, and you go around, most startups that are funded or are out there are based on technology. And when technology is great, of course, technology solves a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems to be solved with technology. However, the Main Street Fund focuses not only on technology. There is a part of technology element in it, but
technology touches everything now.
Technology touches everything, but it also focuses on entrepreneurs that are looking at your regular problems, like helping people, for example, learn how to sew, for example, or providing STEM education, or building places around unserved communities where people can gather and share ideas and exchange ideas. And so the Main Street Fund, the purpose of the Main Street Fund was to look at Georgia State University alumni or students who mostly, if they would take their idea around some of these places like Tech or ATDC or
like a traditional VC,
like a traditional tech ecosystem, they probably would not. They're great ideas, right? They're not moonshots. They're not, they may or may not be $1 billion ideas, but they will create, a few $1 million. They will create meaningful jobs right now. And with the right guidance, with the right kind of, funding, they will be able to generate meaningful revenue
and jobs,
right? And actually have an impact within their communities, their local communities,
which is, and that's a departure for a lot of traditional VCs or traditional kind of the path that a lot of startups go, right? It has to either be a grand slam or an out.
Right.
They're not okay with manufacturing runs, singles and doubles. They want to hit home runs.
I mean, if you look at most VCs, VC funded companies, they're looking for moonshots, right? These and they're looking for, you'll always hear the term 10x return. Right. These companies may or may not be that. They may be that. Some of them could be.
Right. But you're okay with the 2x or 4x.
I'm okay. Right. And at Georgia State, that's what we want. We want to create, those opportunities, help create those opportunities that has an impact right now for the local community, the Atlanta community right now. And basically these companies, they're not your like garden variety high tech companies, right? Some of them are, but most, many of them are your traditional companies, right? And these entrepreneurs, some of them have, like, for example, if Damon John came to you today with the FUBU idea, she would never get any funding from any of the, any in this ecosystem,
right?
Around tech or UGA or Emory, right? Yet Damon James, we all know, is a billionaire, created a brand, FUBU brand,
right?
That we all know and wear. That's an example, right? So those are the kind of ideas and entrepreneurs that we're looking for,
and that fits with the GSU brand, right? Like the GSU is the kind of the regular person that's out there grinding, hustling.
That's right.
That isn't typically kind of the one that is the prom queen, but it's the one that's out there battling every day, and that could become the prom queen in 5 or 10 years.
That's right.
But they're that more the underserved person or the group that is just trying to make things happen, and you're trying to give them a kind of a hand up, to lift them up, to give them that opportunity.
That is correct, and many of these. So the Main Street Fund, we opened it up, we opened the applications up, very recently, and we did not have an opportunity to do a lot of marketing and a lot of PR around it. But even with that, we received close to 100 applications.
Wow. And that was just within the community of Georgia State University.
That's within Georgia State, right? Alumni and students. And then we went through an internal review process with the application.
And were you involved at the point when they were vetting?
No.
It was for you?
It was, and that was by design, on purpose, because obviously I have my own biases, but I did not want to be, sort of tainted with that bias. So we kept it independent. Like no one in this office was involved. Even we kept it outside. So we invited we had an internal review process, which was within the Georgia State community. And after that, we picked about 50 companies from that.
So you went from 100 to 50.
50. We then invited 12 judges and across 4 days, so 3 judges each day, to come and listen to the pitches of these 50 companies. Mm-hmm. So these 50 companies were invited here. They came and told their story. It was a very hard. It was 15 minutes, 5 minutes of pitch, and then 10 minutes Q&A, and that was it. So it was for many of them to distill their pitch and story into 5 minutes was very difficult.
Sure.
But of course, a part of my job is to help them do that. So I invited them here. They came here. We sat down. We went through their problem, how they're looking at it, what they want to tell, the story they want to tell. And so I coached them over a number of weeks.
So you coached 50?
50 companies,
wow.
Yes, 50 companies, all of them, and about 95% of those companies took that opportunity. Some of them didn't for whatever reason, but the ones that did, it showed in their mm-hmm. presentation. And of course, from that, we are now in the process of finalizing the final number of companies that we are going to basically pick as a part of what we call the cohort of the Main Street Fund.
And that's the first kind of round of this?
Yeah. So those companies that we will be picking are going to basically go through a process. They're going to get some grant. So
there'll be some actual money.
And the beauty of that is it's non-dilutive. So in other words, we don't take a part of the company.
Right.
It's it's a grant. And then we sort of help them go through a education program. First of all, we help them figure out what to do with that money, what kind of milestone to achieve, what's the next meaningful milestone for their startup business or their idea, what is going to help them sort of.
Are you using a startup like a lean methodology, or are you using some?
Yeah, so it's a number of things. It's a lean methodology. It's customer discovery. It's build, measure, learn.
So some of these proven kind of ways to grow a business.
Right.
You're educating them.
Right. And some of these companies are already performing in the business.
Right.
Some of them are alumni.
So they're not just ideas. They might have some traction already.
Yeah, right. They're executing. They need a little bit of push, a little bit of help to get to the next milestone.
Now, what about, is there an opportunity for you to help them with connections? Because that's a gap some of these companies have is, they don't have an in at like an enterprise level to do a beta test or some of that. Is there some resources that help them kind of open doors?
Yes, absolutely.
Because there's, in terms of help for a lot of entrepreneurs, their money is a help, but also connections.
Yeah.
It could be the thing they need to level up.
Yeah, I would make the case that in this program, money is less important than the help they're going to be getting. Right, the network of people that we can introduce them into by through Georgia State University, for example, the corporate customers, the corporate connections, and even some of the investor connections. So the goal is in January of next year, we're going to have a demo day, which these companies are going to come and pitch and present their sort of what they have done in the last 4 months. And the goal is to make these entrepreneurs, again, really iterate on the problem, understand what, the pain they're solving. So the demo day is not going to be focused on spreadsheets and financials. It's going to be focused on
not that hockey stick. You're not.
Yeah, none of that.
Be in there. The slide.
I mean, that'll come maybe someday in the future. But right now, we want to showcase these companies to the GSU community, to the Atlanta community in general, to the broader Atlanta community within Atlanta and from outside Atlanta, what GSU has done and what kind of entrepreneurs and startups and businesses we have produced. The goal is that by the end of the program, each of these businesses will have some product that is solving a real problem and perhaps even generating revenue.
Now, are you considering this? Are you calling this an incubator, an accelerator, or is this a hybrid? How are you framing this?
It could be a little bit of both. Incubator. So the companies we're choosing are in two categories. One is a seed stage, and the seed stage companies are companies that have the idea. They have done something with it, right? Maybe they built something, or they have talked to a couple of customers. They may have, I don't know, like some kind of design. It could be on a paper. It doesn't matter. But really, they haven't really done much in terms of actually building the business, right? And they may not have even incorporated the company or anything like that. So it's really from scratch,
right?
And then so that's one. And then the other category is what we call the startup category, which is these companies actually have the idea, they have built a product, they are serving a market, but they are not able to accelerate and gain traction, as much traction that they need to. So some of these companies, are already generating some revenue, but the goal is to help them sort of focus and streamline that towards a specific market that they can then say, okay, now we're ready to scale. We want to raise more money, and that could be from a VC down the road. And then also some of them are solopreneurs, right? They're single, they're hard workers, they're hustlers, they're going out there really working day in, day out, grinding it out, but they need to build a team. And so another part of the coaching is, okay, how can we help them understand how to build a team?
Mm-hmm. So now for you, this is now, you're going to be focused on spending time with each one of these people that make it into the fund to help them whatever the next step is.
Yes.
That's appropriate for them at their level that they're at.
That's right. So, all of these companies are going to get some level of funding, and a part of my job is to sit with each of these companies and discuss with them where they want to be, what they want to achieve with that fund and the help and the coaching, and basically, help them do that, and have a clear idea about the milestones and help them achieve that. The other part is going to be to prepare these companies to sort of dress them up for the demo day, because the demo day for us is the first time we're doing something like that at Georgia State. We're going to have invite guests from not only the Atlanta community but also outside the Atlanta community that are going to come and sort of participate. And so we want to show the best of Georgia State there, and so we want to make sure that we're all buttoned up and suited up.
Right, it looks professional and looks like what it's supposed to be in order for them to get to the next level. And then for you, this is what you're doing now.
Yeah,
this doesn't sound like a part-time side hustle.
This is a part-time.
This is part-time for you?
Yeah, this is part-time.
Really?
This is something that I do in my sleep. I dream about it. I have dreams about these
this
companies.
Is like having 10, 20 kids that you got to try to get out the door here.
Exactly, but I think that's the entrepreneurship is about mindset more than the skill set. And the mindset of an entrepreneur is, these are the things that gets entrepreneurs going. Every entrepreneur you talk to, and that's the difference, I guess, between a big corporation with big organizations and titles and egos versus an entrepreneur. All they want to do is solve problems, and they want to help others solve problems. Mm-hmm. And so any entrepreneur you talk to, if you tell them, hey, I have a person who would like to talk to you and pick your brain, they will jump at the idea, because what that enables them to do is they feel good about helping that other person, other entrepreneur out, but in the process they also learn a lot. So this is a learning process for me as well, because all of these ideas are unique in and of themselves. These entrepreneurs are unique in and of themselves. They have and every one of them has sort of their own passion and I would say obsession around what they're doing. And it's a great process, great place for me to learn as well. And so when I say part-time, the position is part-time. I spend a lot of time on it, no question, but I don't feel like it. Like, if I sit with an entrepreneur, an hour goes by like it's a minute for me, right? Versus if I was sitting in a meeting giving a status report, that hour would look like 10, right? So it's a different kind of feeling. And even though it's part-time, it's a part-time role, but I enjoy it. And this is, I could not have asked for anything more.
So what can we do to help? What do you need more of right now?
We would like the word go around. We would like to, first of all, we're hoping this is the first time we're doing something like this, and we're hoping it will not be the last time. We want to have, another fund, from Marcus Foundation or someone else. And then we want, we have not been able to talk a lot about this just because of timing, but we would love GSU communities and the entrepreneurs and the alumni to know this is what's happening, and we encourage them to come and
and pitch their idea,
and apply, be a part of this.
Right, you need helpers too. You need people that are going to.
People, we're looking. We're going to expand. Of course, right now it's me. Potentially, probably, have another person. We are looking for mentors. We want, people don't know about this, so I have to you
got to evangelize.
Yeah, exactly. We have to evangelize. So we would love. Some people have already taken advantage. They've reached out, which is
somehow
great.
You got 100 people to sign up, so that's a win.
That was that was unexpected. It was quite because
that shows how hungry they are.
Exactly, and that shows how many of them there are more than 100. I'm sure.
Right.
We just didn't have a chance to reach out to them.
But that was to your point earlier. Obviously, there's a problem if 100 people are going to sign up and this was barely even publicized.
Yeah.
Imagine how big the problem is.
That's right. And next time around, of course, this is the first time and you are always learning. So we've taken some, lessons from here of things we could do better, and we're not perfect, by any means. But, this is a program that somehow I feel is going to continue and grow.
So now if somebody wanted to learn more and get involved for the next round or to help in this current round, is there coordinates to get a hold of you or this program?
Yeah, if they, I don't know the exact website, but if they Google Main Street plus ENI, they will be able to get to the website.
Or they can go through the ENI GSU kind of
ENI.gsu.edu. Yeah, they could do that, and my mugshot and email is right there.
And then, so anywhere, I guess they can talk to Jackie or to Jennifer here.
Yeah,
at the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute, and they can point them.
Absolutely, and they can reach out to me as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty open group.
And then you're on LinkedIn, right?
I'm on LinkedIn.
M Khan.
It's M Khan, Khan.
Right. Well, MK, thank you so much for the work you're doing. It's so important to have a champion like you involved to help take these people to the next level. And thank you for your involvement here at GSU Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. It's needed, and this is an important program for the city of Atlanta and definitely the folks here at GSU.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, this is Lee Cantor for Stone Payton. We will see you all next time on GSU ENI Radio.